The other thing I was thinking of, it just seems like the rapture just happened.
Kind of.
I mean, you got the dead coming back, and
I got that vibe too. I got like a little bit of biblical.
It's like a book of
like people like the dead walking out of a fire.
Brimstone.
It's very. I got a hint of that.
It's like if God wanted to do like a dress rehearsal, and he was like, "Fuck this town, dude. We're gonna seal this motherfucker off and give it a whirl." That's kind of like this.
Gabriel, get down there and do your shit, please.
Yo, you remember that book of Revelation we wrote way back? Wasn't that hilarious? Let's fucking do that. Let's do it right here.
An off-Broadway performance.
All the machines we built for it, they're kind of old and rickety. We're going to have to do a test run.
Let's do a test run.
We're going to do a beta on fucking Ashley Kids.
It'll be like a Boston performance. You know what I mean? Just
Apocalypse beta.
Hello, and welcome to Scare Your Friends. My name is John, a.k.a. Skillfully, and I am joined in a room filled with friends, more friends than I've ever had before. Dylan, Kevin, Dan, Caitlin, and William. What's going on, everybody?
How are you, John?
Well, you see, John, I wanted everyone to speak at the same time. It didn't happen.
do like an Always Sunny kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of.
Everyone starts shouting over each other.
So, how's it going, everyone? Dylan, why don't you start off?
Why me? Just automatically.
Okay, Kevin?
All right.
What's up? How are you, John?
I don't know. How are you doing?
Ask you first.
You don't know how you're doing? Oh, we're off to a rollicking good start already.
Boy.
Thank God I have this delicious Stella Artois in my hand.
Scare Your Friends, presented by Stella.
Yeah, if it would be any beer, it'd be fucking this one.
I got an email from Stella saying, we're suing you because you put our name in your...
I mean, we don't make money off of this, so good luck.
Yeah, sure that.
We were sponsored by like the half-full can of Bud Light down the street, like sitting in the little gutter.
Oh my God.
It's like, you can't do that. We didn't damage you. No, you people are so unlikable. People stop drinking Stella.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your witty banter, you and John, so...
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway,
What's the banter? I think it was literally just me saying, how
are you doing? I don't know. How are you? It was great.
The banter
fucking
was
top tier.
Teaching two AIs how to speak for the first time, and you're like, oh, this is never going to go fucking anywhere.
And we're worried about fucking them taking over.
Yeah, no, they're pretty dumb.
Oh, man.
But they can play Pac-Man pretty good.
Can I play Pac-Man?
It takes a while. they figure it out eventually.
Can we...
Aren't the ghost AIs, too? Like,
you don't overthink it! Don't overthink it.
Don't. Can we... Caitlin, how are you tonight, dear?
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. Me too.
In a room full of guys.
Yeah.
One of them you're, like, romantically linked to, huh? We'll get that out of the way.
So you're posting this to Pornhub, right?
What? Dude, we're hitting all the marks. Stella Artois, Bud Light, Pornhub. Pornhub would probably sponsor us. Probably would.
Yeah, why not?
Fuck not.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, man.
Jesus Christ.
Subscribe to our Patreon. You get behind-the-scenes exclusive footage of us actually recording these and drinking. It's great.
It's just a camera that follows Dylan around his daily life.
Daily life from Dylan.
He's taking a book out of the library and the camera's just zooming in on him.
And everyone's like, we know you can't read. Why are you...
Dylan starts tearing out the pages and slowly eating them, thinking that no one's
This is
watching.
how I obtain the knowledge. Dylan, I'm sorry, I don't mean to wreck.
Some of them taste fruity, so...
Oh, what?
What?
So you confirm from experience, right?
Go see a doctor. William, how are you? I'm just taking over the podcast. How are you tonight, William?
I'm okay, but Dan, I'd like to know, what are we reading?
I don't know. John told us it, and I can't remember because my phone just turned off.
All right, fuck you, Dan. John, what are we reading?
Well, before we get to that, we need to address that, Kevin is back for his third episode. So
Yeah,
it's shocking that he's here again still. And Caitlin's here. So Caitlin's here because she
is romantically linked to Kevin.
So she doesn't really have a choice anymore.
Here, yeah. I was brought here,
Against your will.
See, Kevin chose the Paragon option, and what it did was it gave him more social link points with Caitlin, and that's how they seduced her. That's what it is.
Dan's currently alone.
Christ.
Alright, but I do seriously want to ask, since this is Caitlin's first time on the podcast, what is your experience with horror fiction?
That's actually genuinely good question, John.
Caitlin, talk.
I don't normally like it because I have pretty bad anxiety and I get scared very easily, but...
Oh, you too?
Yeah. be great.
Yeah.
Says the leader of this podcast. What?
This is me facing my fears.
Is that
Kidding. No.
Dude, fucking John, I refuse to participate in your therapy sessions. We've talked about this.
This is why I record them. It helps me at night.
Oh my god. What are we reading, John?
All right.
I feel like I'm always the one that tries to fucking steer the Titanic away from the iceberg.
But it always hits.
Oh my god.
Anyway, today we are reading a pretty well-known creepypasta today called The Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas. A lot of the people who listen to Scary Friends also listen to another channel called Midnight Marinara. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know who Midnight Marinara is, they essentially are a group of very talented people who create radio plays. And some of them are based on the online horror tropes of creepypasta. And they did this story, and it's probably my favorite Midnight Marinara they've done. So this is how I was introduced to the story. And I think it's a really good one. I'm not usually that upfront about the stories before I read them, but I've read this, and I can say that I think it's pretty good.
Watch us all hate it.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. That's why I was
and then we yell at each other.
We'll rant for 15 minutes, and John will end up getting really mad about it. And then we'll end the podcast, and I'll sit here in, angry silence for a couple minutes. And then he'll finally go, fucking whatever. That definitely hasn't happened before.
That's the after show. Subscribe to our Patreon to hear that.
Oh my god.
I really like the introduction of alcohol to this. It's really, really...
Yeah. I don't need it. I'm naturally this ridiculous. Alright, The Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas, John. Let's do it.
Oh, and the other thing about the story is, so when we did the rake, we covered how each creepypasta has, well, sometimes based on the wiki, I guess the mods will, I don't know what you call it, label the stories with a certain
They'll tag them, like
Tag
John
tag
tag
them,
them.
yeah.
Like a John...
So,
Yeah.
right, so with the rake, they put the Lovecraftian tag on it.
Yeah, it makes
Read
sense.
it. This is another one that
That's
has the
Lovecraftian.
Lovecraftian tag.
Ooh! My wiener moved a little
I was
bit.
going to say, Dan's penis grew 3 sizes that
Hell
day.
yeah. So
So
now
it's
it's
not-
3 inches.
I was going to say, man...
No, do we have a credited author for this one?
Oh, shit.
I'm running the show now.
Let's see.
Give me the password of the Discord.
Do we have a author? I don't think so, honestly.
I scrolled down, I didn't see one.
No,
but I
don't
figured I'd ask.
I don't think there's one.
Okay. Good to know.
Anyway, so yeah, nothing really much else to say. I think this is gonna be a good story, and I think we're going to enjoy ourselves reading it. So let's start with The Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas. Sometime during the night on August 16th, 1952, the small town of Ashley, Kansas ceased to exist. At 3:28 a.m. on August 17th, 1952, a magnitude 7.9 earthquake was measured by the United States Geological Survey. The earthquake itself was felt throughout the state and most of the Midwest. The epicenter was determined to be directly under Ashley, Kansas. When state law enforcement arrived at what should have been the outskirts of the farming community, they found a smoldering, burning fissure in the earth measuring 1,000 yards in length and approximately 500 yards in width, and the depth of the fissure was never determined. After 12 days, the statewide and local search for the missing 679 residences of Ashley, Kansas was called off by the Kansas state government at 9:15 p.m. on the night of August 29th, 1952. All residents were assumed to be dead. At 2:27 a.m. on August 30th, 1952, a magnitude 7.5 earthquake was measured by the United States Geological Survey. The epicenter was situated under what used to be the location of Ashley, Kansas. When law enforcement investigated at 5:32 a.m., they reported that the fissure in the earth had closed.
In the 8 days leading up to the disappearance of the town and its 679 residents, bizarre and unexplainable events were reported by dozens of residents in Ashley, Kansas, and law enforcement from the surrounding area. On the evening of August 8th, 1952, at 7:13 p.m., a resident by the name of Gabriel Jonathan reported a strange sight in the sky above Ashley. The town itself, having no official branch of law enforcement, called into the police station of the neighboring town of Hayes. Gabriel reported what appeared to be a small black opening in the sky. Within the next 15 minutes, the Hayes police station became overwhelmed with dozens of calls all reporting the same phenomenon. The phenomenon was never reported by any neighboring communities. A decision was made to send a trooper to Ashley to investigate the matter the following morning.
At 7:54 a.m. on the morning of August 9th, 1952, Hayes police officer Alan Mace radioed the Hayes police station. He reported that, despite following the one-way road leading into Ashley, he had become lost. According to his report, the road continued along its normal path, but somehow ended up back in Hayes. Officer Mace went on to add that the road never curved or bent in any direction. At 9:15 a.m., 7 of the town's 10 police cars were sent to investigate the situation, and all members of the team came to the same conclusion. The only road leading into Ashley stopped leading into Ashley, but led back to Hayes. Phone calls continued to pour into the Hayes police station, all reporting that the black opening in the sky continued to grow in size. All callers were advised to remain outside and to not travel outside unless absolutely necessary. At 8:17 p.m., Mrs. Elaine Cantor reported her neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Milton, and their 2 children, Jeffrey and Brooke, missing. According to Mrs. Cantor's phone call, the Miltons attempted to leave town in their family car earlier in the evening. They never returned. Law enforcement officials from Hayes never reported the car or individuals coming up the one-way road.
At 7:38 a.m. on the morning of August 10th, 1952, phone calls from Ashley to the Hayes police station reported that the town was in total darkness. The sun had never risen. At 10:15 a.m., at the request of Hayes law enforcement, a helicopter from Topeka, Kansas, flew over the region in which Ashley, Kansas stood. The town was never observed from the air. At 12:43 p.m. on the afternoon of August 11th, 1952, Miss Phoebe Danielewski called into the Hayes police station. She reported that her daughter, Erica, had begun to have conversations with her father, who died 3 years prior in a drunk driving accident. To add to her concern, Mrs. Danielewski reported that Erica was attempting to go outside into the dark to join them. Over the course of the next 12 hours, a reported 329 phone calls were placed into the Hayes police station, all describing similar phenomenon with the children of the town. The following morning of August 12, 1952, the situation became dire. During the middle of the night, all 217 children in the town of Ashley, Kansas disappeared. A reported 421 phone calls were placed in the Hayes Police Department. Unable to be of useful assistance, Hayes law enforcement instructed all callers to remain inside to avoid any and all attempts at finding the missing children.
What is your general thoughts at this point?
This has shades of Lovecraft, so I can see why it's tagged.
It's very Silent Hill-ish.
Yeah, a little bit
is
of
what
that
I'm
too.
feeling. Someone was just like, hey, let's just talk about Silent Hill, as if the cops are staring at it, you know?
Well, Silent Hill is a real place. You can go there and it's a nice resort, but if you have demons, don't go there.
I don't know why I have like this like Twilight Zone feel to it, because it's always like
You get a little bit of that too.
because it's always like a town. It's always, at least in my experience, it's always some town that has a little something off about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if I'm at the right point. At 5:19 p.m. on the evening of August 13th, 1952, Ashley, elderly man Scott Luntz reported a growing, distant fire to the south. According to his description, the fire seemed to turn the distant black into bright red and orange that seemed to extend high into the sky. Throughout the rest of the day, calls continued in, stating that the fire, in addition to moving north, now seemed to come out of the black sky. No fire was ever witnessed by any of the neighboring communities or law enforcement officials. The reports continued until 12:09 a.m. on the morning of August 14th, 1952. The last phone call placed by Mr. Benjamin Endicott reported that the fire in the sky had grown so intense that it began to appear as daytime over the town. The phone call ended abruptly.
From the phone call placed by Benjamin Sherman Endicott. Benjamin, just hold on, wait. Benjamin, yeah, I see something. It's to the south. It looks like. End phone call. The next phone call wouldn't be placed until the following evening. The following is the entire transcript of the final phone call to be received by the Hayes Police Department out of the town of Ashley, Kansas. It was placed at 9:46 p.m. on the evening of August 15, 1952. In this recorded phone call, the officer on duty is Officer Peter Welsh. The caller has been identified as Miss April Foster.
Should we have, like, 2 people do this next part, since it's, like, a really long dialogue section?
Yeah.
Still, John, you want to take it?
Alright.
Rather than...
Someone narrate, someone be Officer Welsh, and someone be Miss Foster.
I guess I could be Officer Welsh if you want. Alright.
I'll be Miss Foster, then.
All right. All right, Officer
Leave me
Will.
alone.
All right. Hayes Police Department. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Ma'am, who am I speaking with?
My name is April Foster. Please, sir, please help me.
What's happening, ma'am?
Last night they came back.
Ma'am, I'm going to need you to...
Last night they came back.
Ma'am, I'm going to need you to calm down and speak clearly. What happened? Who came back?
Everyone.
Fuck.
Everyone?
They all came in the fire.
What do you mean, everyone?
My son. I saw my son last night. He was walking. He was down the street. He was burned. Jesus Christ, he was burned.
Ma'am,
He died last year. I raised him since he was a baby. It was just me and him. I told him to watch for cars when he rode his bike, but he never wanted to listen.
Ma'am, what you're saying isn't making any sense. You said everyone came back?
Are you fucking listening to me? Everyone came back. Everyone who died or went missing. They're back. And they're looking for us. He said, Mommy, I'm okay now. See, I can walk again. Where are you, Mommy? I want to see you.
Ma'am, where are you? Are you safe?
I'm hiding, just like everyone else. We saw them coming through the fields, and some people opened their doors to them. God, the screaming. I don't know what happened to them, but their houses caught fire and they caved in. I have my curtains drawn. I'm hiding in the closet right now. And...
Ma'am? Is everything alright? Are you okay? Ma'am?
Oh my God.
Ma'am?
Something just came in.
Muffled cries.
Ma'am, stay as quiet as you can. Don't make a sound.
Muffled mommy, sobbing.
He came inside.
Stay absolutely still. Don't leave.
Sound of muffled footsteps. Mommy, where are you hiding?
Stay quiet.
Sound of heavy footstep, laughter, muffled. I found you, Mommy. Indiscernible screaming and noise.
Ma'am!
End phone call. Also, can I really quick say that I'm really glad that even though we had Caitlin in the room, Dylan still played the mother.
You thought the same thing I did. I'm like, let's make use of Caitlin.
We had a woman here!
I want Dylan to play the
I mean,
woman.
I even said, okay, I'll be Officer Welsh. And I was waiting right now. He's like, I'll take the moment.
No one was talking!
Dylan fucking...
Dylan hitched up his dress and
Dylan's a power bottom. He's on the bottom bunk. Like we talked in the previous episode.
Proud of you, Dylan.
Represent.
Wow.
The following morning at 6...
Wow. I'm sorry.
Power through.
The following morning at 6:55 a.m., the law enforcement officials of the Hayes Police Department arrived at the location of Ashley, Kansas. A smoldering, burning fissure in the earth was all that remained.
Done.
Oh no, we're gonna get content ID.
No! Just cuts there. Alright, so that was the disappearance of Ashley, Kansas. So... what do y'all think?
She did.
I feel like part of what's fun about reading horror is the suspense element of it when you buy into it and are kind of vicariously living what's happening as the story progresses. And the way the vast majority of this was structured as a police report sort of makes it a clinical experience rather than a frightening one, which I feel like detracted a lot from any potential horror, but it was cool. It's alright.
There were a lot of times that I sort of lost track of when it was happening, because it was like
I wanna look back.
12:52 a.m. or 9:25 a.m.
I don't know. I there's a lot that I actually don't like about it.
I actually really thoroughly enjoyed the story. I really loved it for what it was. I don't know. There's something about it. There's something about like this air of mystery, and I think okay. Honestly, I wouldn't have put if you didn't say anything. I wouldn't have put this whole like the Lovecraftian background behind it. It's not. There's elements of it.
It's tenuous at best.
Yeah, it's really not, though. Mm-hmm. There's the idea of, like, something foreign and maybe something from beyond what we experience or comprehend. And we talked about this with one of the previous one. The Rake, we actually talked about it. What makes something Lovecraftian. potentially. And my understanding of it, based on what I've read and sort of researched or whatever, is it's the themes of like people experiencing something that can't possibly happen, and the insanity of that, and the trauma, and, you know, ancient evil and aliens and this potentially and all that shit, and how humanity would deal with it and try to come to terms with it psychologically, right? And I don't think this story has that. It's kind of, but not really, because like William said, we're getting a very sterile version of it. But I like what's there. I like the imagery. I like the idea that this town, nobody can leave, nobody can enter, and all the dead come back, and you're not really sure what the fuck's going on. There's just enough, right? There's just enough to keep it interesting and intriguing. And we've talked about this too, where like, where does the line draw? And I think this one is on the line perfectly. So
I don't know. I maybe just because I'd be the asshole. It'd be just like, it's another call from Ashley. Just don't answer it. How many calls are they getting where it's like, we can't
fucking do anything. Stop calling.
We can't do anything for you? Great, you're seeing your dead family again. Congratulations. I wish I can see my grandmother. Congratulations. We can't do shit for you. I'm sorry. I felt like there was too many phone calls where I'm guessing if there was a small farming community, that Hayes is another small farming community.
Well, maybe not, because it has its own police department and shit. I feel
That's true, but
slightly less small farming community.
Then they need the police department, and the police needs to be doing something else besides helping this town, because they can't do shit.
Well, as we read in the story, there were parts where the police were trying to actually
exactly
Kansas, but they just couldn't. And it was weird because they kept driving down the road, and it just didn't appear to them when they were driving.
So, like, the idea of, like, a fissure, and then it's there, and then it disappears a couple days later is interesting, too.
It's almost like they're, I don't want to say it like this, but it's almost like they're in a different dimension, almost.
Yeah, that's where kind of I feel like the Lovecraft comes in, because there's a story like that. There's a story, it reminds me of The Color Out of Space, I think it's called, where a meteorite crashes in, like, some rural town, and it starts, like, affecting the flora and fauna. And people are like, this is weird, and they can't identify the rock and the material, and then it kind of destroys this whole farming community. It turns everybody to fucking dust and shit. So it's like shades of that, but again, there's not enough Lovecraftian type stuff in this for me to consider it that.
The story's kind of interesting in a way, because I feel like the Lovecraftian tag kind of like ties into this, because this story is almost, the way it's laid out, you get out of it what you're willing to put into it, in that the things that happen between the lines are more interesting than what's actually written.
Right.
You're sitting there and trying to think about why these things happened is infinitely more interesting than the actual, like, police report blotter down the line. So if we're sitting here and imagining, maybe it was Lovecraft, maybe it was this, maybe it was that, that's when the story takes on a sort of mystique and more intrigue to it. Whereas for me, since I don't do that, since I'm not creative or interesting, I sit there and read and I'm like, what the fuck? It was a police report. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not interesting. But if you're willing to sit there and kind of flesh out the concept in your own mind, maybe it's more fulfilling.
Yeah, we've done that before with other stories we've read.
Yeah.
But I mean, but
there's stuff to latch on to.
Right.
And I get what William's saying, when there's really nothing. I mean, there is, but, like, again, because it's not really being told as a story.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
It's almost like a base to build a story off of. It's a story template.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to listen to this, the what do you call it?
The Midnight Mariners.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did a great job with it.
Because I'm also, like, imagining what this would sound like that. I'm getting in, like, the very, like, 1930s War of the Worlds, like, broadcast, especially if I'm not sure if you've all listened to it. But there's, like, the report where the guy's reporting from, wow, I can't believe I forgot the name of the town. I will, on the tip of my tongue. But where he's there and he's reporting it, and then it's just, I don't know, I have that feeling because it started in this one town type thing, so it's reporting from that town, like a news broadcast over the radio. The other thing I was thinking of, it just seems like the rapture just happened.
Kind of.
I mean, you got the dead coming back, and
I got that vibe too. I got like a little bit of biblical.
It's like a book of
like people like the dead walking out of a fire,
and brimstone.
It's very. I gotta hint to that.
It's like if God wanted to do like a dress rehearsal, and he was like, "Fuck this town, dude. We're gonna seal this motherfucker off and give it a whirl." That's kind of like this.
Gabriel, get down there and do your shit, please.
Yo, you remember that Book of Revelation we wrote way back? Wasn't that hilarious? Let's fucking do that. Let's do it right here.
An off-Broadway performance.
Yeah, you know.
All the machines we built for it, they're kind of old and rickety. We're gonna have to do a test run.
Let's do a test run.
We're gonna do a beta on fucking Ashley Kansas.
It'll be like a Boston performance. You know what I mean? Just
Apocalypse beta.
let's see how it goes. You know?
Where should we do it? Ashley, Kansas? That sounds like a
Fuck
porn
Kansas.
star anyway. Let's just get rid of it.
Fuck cares.
I literally thought when you told the title, it was like the disappearance of some random white girl.
From Kansas. Yeah.
I can't wait for Revelation Scav beta.
But like, okay, so when we
I can't believe they're charging microtransactions already.
wait, fucking EA built this Revelation.
The way they close the roads is really cheap, you know? It's got to be more immersive than that.
The pricing is a little weird. It's $6.66. That's a little weird.
That's a little on the nose.
Oh shit, I was gonna actually say something.
Well, as long as they have the Battle Royale mode.
Oh yeah.
They'll get to the end and be like, we forgot the fucking devil. Fuck. Oh my god, that was like the whole thing. Shit, fuck. All right, Boise, Idaho.
Patch it in later.
Boise, Idaho.
Oh,
Do you think
man.
the political climate is a little too hostile to put the Whore of Babylon, or are we just going to get rid of it?
God.
You know what? If we want, it depends, you know. Are we remaking it or are we remastering it?
Ah, interesting.
We're remastering the Book of Revelation in the heart of Kansas. And we forgot the devil.
God's looking down on us right now. He's like, you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to do it in this room.
Dead.
The skies darken.
Oh my
Why
god.
is Caitlyn floating up to the sky?
Oh my god.
Caitlyn, don't go. Oh, cool. I'm single again.
Wow.
Jesus.
And it turns out
Wow.
Dylan was the devil all along.
Sitting there drinking his water. Oh wow.
Oh, God.
What did you think, Dylan?
What did you think, Satan?
Honestly, I had that issue of, reading it, I was like, I couldn't really put my, I couldn't put, like, my imagination to it until Dan, Kevin, and Will were talking about it.
I was like, okay, I'm slowly piecing it
But this is
together. But it took a long while for me to like try to piece it together. It's even reading some of the parts, I'm just like, I'm having a hard time connecting to it.
This is interesting to me because you're a just the facts kind of guy, and this is presented in a very just the facts kind of way. But maybe it's because we don't really know what's going on, right? It's what people are, not even what the people are experiencing, kind of, but not really. It's this third party account of what happened. Lovecraft does that a lot too. So
He does.
a little bit. But
I mean, in all honesty, when I'm reading this first, I did think, like, with the police report, I'm just looking at this police report right now. Just that's all I'm doing right now. It's like, okay, what happened? This is here, this is here, this is here. Okay, that's, I'm telling, and then, I'm going to go right to the source.
there's a little bit of a disconnect, but it's like, how else would you write this then? You can't really write it from the perspective of the people because they all disappear.
Unfortunately, William and Caitlin can't really answer this question. But would you rather a story like this be written the way The Rake was written?
You're right.
Because when we read The Rake, if you recall, I was one who brought up the complaint that some of it felt like it was written like this, like a news report kind of thing, and then some of it, like at the end, it like weirdly transitioned into like a real personal experience.
You're right.
And it just didn't like flow correctly. It was almost like it was written by three different authors. Like the beginning, the middle, and the end were like by three different people.
Right.
And they were written in three totally different ways. This one sticks with the report-based story. And I'm sure it has its flaws.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know how
from,
else you could deliver a realistic tale like this unless you have someone actually at the place telling their story.
I feel
like the one survivor of Ashley, Kansas. Maybe.
Right.
I feel like part of the magic of writing is that you don't need to be there necessarily. I mean, if you think of Lovecraft, his stuff, a lot of times it's the detached narrator.
It's the person doing that. It's
part
reporting
of
on the events.
part of the horror of Lovecraft. A big part of it is that you're sort of suspended right above the action, and you're just watching someone go insane.
Right.
And that's all. This could actually be written just like that, where you're kind of a fly on the wall and a narrator and an omniscient presence, just forced to witness something terrible.
But he strikes that line too because it's omniscient, but it's not, because it's usually somebody investigating what happened. But they just have a very detailed account of what happened for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it depends on the story. A lot of Call of Cthulhu was like that. The most famous story is the author is in no danger really at any point throughout the story. He's just talking about these occurrences that happen.
Just chatting about it.
But I keep saying it's not Lovecraftian, but there are elements of it. There's little shades of Lovecraft. Like the idea of like this event that happens for a day or two and nobody can really explain it and then it just goes away. That's a very Lovecraftian thing to do.
I think part of one of the more positive aspects of the story is that you can take these sort of open-ended like horror events and shape them however you want.
Right.
So it's very easy to read this as Lovecraftian, but not necessary.
Right.
It's kind of however you want to angle it.
But yeah, I don't know. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed the story for what it is. I can't really pinpoint why. I guess it might be the imagery, the idea of like, there's a fucking black hole in the sky and the sun didn't rise and there's a fire and it's getting closer.
That's my fucking kid.
Yeah, there's all this like imminent doom going on and I like that shit. And we talk like kind of like biblical shit, so I'm a sucker for that. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
What do you think, Caitlin?
I don't know. I feel like it didn't really go anywhere, but I was hoping for something more intense and scary.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess when the first time I heard on a show where there's voice actors and voice actresses that are acting out the thing, and it's not like they're performing the thing verbatim. Like David rewrites the script a little bit to fit it more into like a radio play. So in that environment, there's actors and actresses that are actually like in the moment as like this is happening, and maybe you feel it a little bit more there.
Definitely.
So it's possible. But I brought up the rake specifically because we complained about this last time with the author not staying consistent to the form of their story. The structure of the story was the same. This story sticks with the structure. Now, I'm going to ask you, Dan, was this the right choice based on what the author was trying to do? Is this the right choice?
For this story, yes. Because like I said, how else are you going to do it, really?
Right.
I mean, the omniscient person, yeah, but this sense of mystery and what bothers me is when you told us what we were reading and we all Googled it, like the first two results were like, is Ashley, Kansas real? It's like, people are so fucking stupid. Of course it's not real. Like, freak, come on.
Yeah, there's people asking if Jeff the Killer is real, though.
Yeah, well,
it's
that's
not
true. There goes my private Tumblr account I was using for Jeff the Killer art.
I haven't slept. I've been pissing myself every night that he's gonna come for me.
I keep a second bottle of bleach under my pillow, just in case.
And a lighter. Just
Wow, that was like, you actually remembered something about that story. That's impressive.
I'm ready.
Holy shit.
It's been under my pillow ever since. I get terrible night's sleep. Every night.
I remember when I first listened to you guys do it, I forgot who it was that I went up to after I heard it. I'm like, something's bothering me. Bleach is inflammable, is it? No, it's not.
No, but they mixed the alcohol with the bleach.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's why he was on fire, but it bleached his skin.
There was another one.
Ken, you clearly didn't listen to the story. If you need, go back and listen to episode 12. I think it is to get these jokes.
I've almost like wanted to retry Jeff the Killer with good audio, but I want to redo the magic.
We can't recapture that magic ever again.
We won't.
We could do Jane the Killer, maybe.
I feel like I feel like based on the story, the audio that we got is perfect for that experience.
No, there's plenty of like serial killer type stories like Clockwork.
I want to read Jeff the Killer versus Slender Man. That's what I want to read.
Is that a real thing?
Yes, it is.
Oh my god.
There's videos.
It's the Godzilla versus King Kong of Creepypasta.
Oh my god, that is the perfect analogy, Dylan. That's brilliant.
I was Googling like Thanksgiving creepypastas.
Oh no.
And I found a lush on DeviantArt.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
A lot of icons.
They don't call it DeviantArt for nothing.
Did it end up being Vor stuff?
No, it was no. It wasn't Vor. It was It was worse. It was Slenderman.
Vor is.
It was Slenderman.
Tell me
serving.
Ask your parents.
It was the.
Can I Google that?
Not yet.
Google image it?
Just to
Definitely don't.
No, it wasn't Vor. It was the Slender Man holding a cooked turkey, and everyone at the table sitting with other icons like Ben Drowned and
like a fucking
Thanksgiving dinner.
Last Supper fucking.
kind of.
Oh my god! Anyway, Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas. It's pretty good. It's a great story. A little bit of Lovecraft.
I would wish they would actually, when they went back to see what the fissure, they had it from Officer Welsh's perspective after hearing that phone call.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Just to see, oh my god, this was actually real, and, just the visual
You know what?
horror.
That would have been a great choice. I'm in agreement. I think that would have been great.
Wow,
But let me tell you something. Yeah, but you know what? If I was Officer Williams, like, you need to go investigate, I'd be like, fuck you. I'm not going anywhere near that fucking town.
There's one, minor complaint. It's a very minor complaint. I feel like the way that the story is written, it's a little bit robotic. And the reason why I say it's robotic is because every time they announce a date, they always have to say it's 1952.
Yeah.
And I feel like after the first couple of times, if you would have just started this paragraph with on the evening of August 8th, I don't think most people would be like, what year was it?
Well, no, they're holding
No,
the police report.
this one would. This one would.
And because it's
Dylan would.
It's as a police report, they have to put the year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why that's the style. That they
That's
really
fair.
were.
No, that's honestly
Inconsistency would kill me.
Do you know what I was waiting for at the end? I'm like, I really hope it doesn't happen. Where it just all explained, because the Russian sleep experiment?
Yeah.
It comes up and he's
I think some of the best
monologue at the end?
Yeah,
some of the best stories we've had don't really explain everything.
No, it's
Abandoned by Disney didn't. Pen Pal really didn't. Wide Mouth is the big one that I always think.
I mean,
whenever I
Pen
think of
Pal
short story.
did. Pen Pal did, but it was like...
That was an epic, though.
It was so fucking good. Because
It
it
was
wasn't dumb bullshit ghost shit. It was just
hippie
fucking...
bullshit.
It was just a guy. It was just a pervert, like a weird, creepy dude.
Yeah.
That's how it always is.
Yeah, it's great.
I have to say, I've kind of come around on this after doing a little thinking about it, because,
What, this story?
this is alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm still stuck on that.
Why do you think so?
It just, I don't know. I feel like at certain points, they're just we just gotta let them be. They can't do anything. Just
So are you looking for more stuff?
No,
or content?
There's just something about it, or that.
Well, then you don't have a story. Oh, they
I
keep
understand
calling
that.
and nobody, and they just unplug the phone, and that's the end. But what's interesting to me is they stop getting phone calls, and at what point are they like? Well, I mean, they give you the date, but they're like, "Are we going to even try?
I think
we couldn't get there before. Are we going to try now?"
I think you have to for at least a bit, but eventually, when something supernatural like this happens, that's beyond the realm of, what we know. Whole towns don't just disappear into the night.
Well, Roanoke. Well, the people did.
Well,
this is kind of like a science fiction Roanoke, basically.
Yeah, but not even in the 50s. Not really even then.
I mean,
that'd be like if they all stopped looking for 3 years, everyone closed their eyes driving by Ashley, and they came back and they're like, somebody killed them all.
Yeah,
that'd be like Roanoke, basically.
But yeah.
Do you want to think is? And I'm back to what you said. Why one more of it? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like maybe they would do more for it. Like I said, they just stopped. They kind of okay, it's another call. Let's see what it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm going back on that too now. I feel like they should have. I don't know. Forget it.
John said before, having a lone survivor would have been interesting. Would have been an interesting way to retell it.
If this crazy person got out and was telling about how they were from Ashley, Kansas, and no one believed that they were from Ashley, Kansas because they didn't think it existed.
To me, what would have been creepier if I was writing something like this, it would be one person was able to walk out of town. And he doesn't know why. He or she doesn't know why.
I was going to say, it'd be very Lovecraftian if they were just babbling.
Right. And he or she doesn't know why.
And they said stuff, but it didn't make any sense.
Right. But then you could do a police report like that. And that would be very Lovecraftian. Somebody showing up and being fucking, and they're drawing symbols and shit.
Oh, my God.
And pictures. That would be fucking Lovecraftian.
And they're asking questions and they give nonsensical answers.
Right. Or they start speaking a made up fucking language and then they somehow get some kind of information. They surmise some kind of information. That would be a fucking Lovecraft
And you could
story.
have this person doing weird shit in the interrogation cell too.
Right.
Yeah.
That would do it, and that would be more. And I don't want to say the story's bad because I really liked it, but it would be an interesting, different take on it.
Here's the thing, Dan. That would be what
It
happened.
might be more gripping
If this was a Lovecraft story, but we know after thinking about it that it's not, this was just a really rough, dry run from the big man upstairs for the Book of Revelation. And he did his best, and he's going to try again.
He did his best.
And that's it. And I think it's a fun little take.
Yeah.
He took a shot.
He's
Shot,
all right.
you know.
Being an omnipotent, omnipresent being, he did all right.
Next time. What are we
Test
doing?
one. Test one.
What atrocities must have that one survivor committed where God's like, I don't want this guy, you leave the town.
They all still use TiVo.
That's what it is.
All of them.
The cardinal sin.
Not TiVo.
It was the 11th commandment.
God looked down one day and he's like, what is this, 1999? He took a hit of his natty light and he sequestered the whole thing off and just went to town. He was like, we're pushing the timeline up a little.
I left that one off the tablets, damn it. This is why I wanted Moses to not break them the first time.
Oh my god.
Well, I honestly didn't expect it to go this route, but there you go.
I mean, John, how long have you known us? Like, how do you not expect this kind of shit?
Yeah. I mean, upon reading it again, I can understand your points. I understand that it's limited in its capacity, but I think it's well written. Yeah. And I think that for what it is, it's probably the best it could be.
For what it is, it does it well. Yes, right. I would agree.
Right. And again, it stays consistent with what it's trying to do.
Right.
But that being said, unlike stories like Mr. Widemouth or Funny Mouth or...
But those are
right.
more story.
Well, I was going to say that those are stories where we can talk a little bit more about it. It's hard to kind of, squeeze water out of the stone in terms of dialogue to talk about afterwards, although we've been doing pretty good for this one. But anyway, so I guess we are at that point. So why don't we go around the room and do our final thoughts on the story, starting with Dylan.
I'm in half and half on it. I liked it, didn't like it. Could have done a lot more to it instead of the police report. So it would be like a 5 out of 10 for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I keep trying to figure out why I can't like it. I'm just going to give it a pass and say it's fine. Because there's something about it there's something that's bothering me. I can't pinpoint it. So
it just might not be. Is it possible it's just not your cup of tea?
No, because there is definitely a lot that I did like about it, but there's something like
robotic, maybe
untangible, like something I can't really grasp.
Connect to it, maybe?
I can't grasp something about it. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little robotic. It's almost like a robot wrote the story a little bit. But, I mean,
we plugged 15 creepypastas into a robot, and this is what he came up with.
You're like a bad Twitter account, man.
Yeah, yep. I mean, fucking did 2 thumbs up for this. I really enjoyed it.
I like the way it was written. I just was expecting something a little more creepy and scary. It just didn't happen.
Gotta ease you into it.
Yeah, probably.
That's what it is. You dip a toe in.
Yeah. How many pumpkins, Will?
Oh, good question.
How many pumpkins? 10 round, juicy pumpkins.
Yeah.
Very fun. Fun little tale. Yeah. Maybe it was all a social experiment by the Hayes Police Department. They just made all this shit up.
Here we go.
They were like, dude, no one comes to fucking Kansas. Let's freak them the fuck out. And they wrote up this whole police report, and they were like, we're gonna put this on like Reddit or some shit, and then the whole world lost their mind. And they're
There's no fucking Ashley in Kansas.
They're all sitting there chuckling. They're like, that's a person's name. They're having a good time over in Hayes.
I'm so glad we got that little nugget. That last little nugget.
So good overall?
Yeah.
He gave it 10 out of 10.
I said 10 juicy, ripe pumpkins.
All right.
They're very round.
And as for me, I still like the story. I mean, it is one of my... I definitely liked it a lot more when I heard on Midnight Marinara, so I'm going to plug it and recommend that even the people in this room listen to the radio show play that Midnight Marinara did a while back.
Radio
2 or 3 years ago.
Radio teleplay, John.
Is it a teleplay?
Radio teleplay.
I'm definitely interested to listen to it.
Okay.
Just because I feel like maybe I'll...
Don't tell me what to do. I'll fucking listen to it if I want to, okay?
Which means you're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. Anytime John's like, you should... This supplementary material. I bought the fucking pen pal book, for Christ's sake. Like...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
that.
All right. So... Yeah, that's all I guess it's all.
Good night, guys. If you're ever in Kansas, don't fucking
go to Ashley.
Don't buy it.
I don't know if you know this, but Ashley, Kansas is actually... Oh, no, that was in... What the fuck? Where was the showers take place? Was it like Missouri or some shit?
Nebraska?
Nebraska,
yeah.
That's what it was. Another bumblefuck.
Those Cornhuskers.
Never mind. I was going to be like, it's the neighboring town, but it's in a different state. The joke's over. Cut the fucking mic.
All right, so this has been Scary Friends. And I have been joined by my friends Dylan, Kevin, Dan, Caitlin, and William. And we will see you in the next episode. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
Muffled mommy, sobbing.
He came inside.